Hey everyone, Squatch Reloading here. Moving on to the next part of our 10mm load series. Today on our T7, our Redding T7, we're going to set up our seating die. So we're going to seat the bullet, get the case overall length we want, and according to our load books, I've compared several manuals here because I'm using the Accurate Outdoors 180 grain hollow point bullets. Those are the copper-plated bullets. I don't have a load book for specifically Accurate Outdoors, so I'm just kind of cross-referencing a lot of different manuals and making some educated assumptions. And so we're going to go with an overall length of 1.25 inches. So we're going to get our seating die set up. And then also we're going to use a taper crimp die. So we're going to get that set up today as well. So by the end of this, we'll have all four of our dies set. We'll have our full length sizing die, our expander die, our seating die, and our crimp die. So at that point, we're basically ready to set primers. So we'll cover that on the T7, and then we're going to start working some powder charges and start doing some load development. So for right now, in this video, again, we're going to do the seating stem and the taper crimp die. So let's get started, and thanks for watching. All right, so we're going to try to get our seating die set up here. So I'm going to go ahead and first thing I want to do is I want to back out the seating stem a little bit and our lock ring, get it all the way up to the top here. And we're going to go ahead and index our turret over clockwise to the third spot here. And we're just going to go ahead and go through the same process of preloading. So we're going to go down until we tap or we touch the top of the shell holder. We're just going to back off a little bit, give it a little bit of turn, make sure we get everything kind of preloaded. Yep, feels pretty good. So I'm going to snug that down. I already have some cases here that were sized and expanded from the previous video. So we're going to stick a cartridge in. And I know we got quite a ways to go, so I'm going to get pretty aggressive with it. We're going to take, again, our Accurate Outdoors 180 grain hollow point, and we're going for a seating depth or a case overall length of 1.25 inches. So we're just going to trial and error, guys. Go ahead and seat one, and let's see where we're at on our calipers. Okay, we're at 138, so we got a little bit of movement we still need yet. So I'm going to make a pretty aggressive turn. And you know, if you guys aren't comfortable with making those big turns, this is all just my experience and using these dies quite a bit. So I kind of know where I'm at. But you know, and I've loaded so many 10mm rounds, I can eyeball it pretty easy. But this is the process that you got to go through. Right now we're at 130, so we got about another 5 thousandths to go. So let's see where we're at. It's getting there. Trying not to get overzealous like I did in the last video and overshoot, but right now we're at 127, so I'm making some pretty small moves right now to get us dialed in at that 1.25 that we're looking for. Let's see how we look here. Okay, we're at 126.1, so we just barely got to make a move here, and we should be pretty close to our 125. And I'm going to chase that 10th, and I tell you guys that we never do that, but I like to, especially when I'm running on the T7, I like to try to get super ultra precise. So there we go. One little hair, and I think we've got it. Okay. All right. So we're at 125. In that 5/10 thousandths, but we're not going to worry too much about that. So to firm up this die, what we always want to do is go back up into the die just to make sure we center up everything in the threads, and then we're just going to button this down, get it tight, and I'm going to use my Redding Sinclair die tool here, and it's actually kind of cumbersome with the with all the dies installed here, but we're going to get it. You know, it doesn't have to be super tight. We're just snugging up the lock rings here, and these dies do have the Allen set screws here, but I generally never use those. So what we're ready to do now is move on to the crimp die. All right, so on our crimp die, one thing I want to note, guys, is in this die set it does not have the crimping feature in the seating stem, and I generally always, when I buy dies, if I can't find a die set, if it does have a combo seating and crimping die, I will generally buy an extra seating and crimping die, because I like to crimp separate from my seating stem, and you get a better consistent crimp, in my opinion, and it's much easier to set up from the get-go. So on our crimp die, this die we're not going to bottom out. We're going to give it a couple turns here, and I'm going to double check our load book. On the crimp diameter on these is 0.423, and a lot of it's by feel, but if you're not experienced or haven't done a lot of taper crimps, shooting for that outside diameter will get you in a safe zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the cartridge up into the turret, and I'm going to start threading my die down until I feel it engage the cartridge. So we've got some engagement there, and now I'm going to give it about a quarter to or an eighth of a quarter turn, and I'm going to run it up into the die. And then I'm just going to start feeling that we're removing the flare there. So I'm going to go ahead and check dimensionally where we're at. And you guys can see that we're right there at 423. And when I feel it, it feels good. There's a nice tapered edge there. The cartridge has no more bell on it, so we're going to call that good. So we're going to run it back up in the die and go ahead and make sure that we're snugged up there, and then we're going to lock it down. Alright guys, so I have an extra cartridge here, so we're just going to run one dry through, and again this is going to be a dead cartridge. There's no primer in here, so we're going to go ahead and size, expand. We're going to seat our bullet and do our crimp. Alright, looks good. Now let's check this one dimensionally. Okay guys, so we have our seating depth, or our case overall length, established. We're looking for 1.25, and we're just going to do some quick checks here. We're at 1.25, so that's all good. Also, we kind of shot our crimp at that 0.423 mark, so we're just going to double check everything there. And yeah, we're right there at 0.423 and a 5, so 5/10,000ths over. When it comes to crimp, again, like I always say, less is more. So now let's look at how these fit in our Dillon case gauge. They should drop in, so they're dropping in, and they are nice and flush for you guys to see there. Okay, and they should fall right out. So with that being said, we have our first dead round here, and of course I'll pull the bullet and we'll use it. But so we have all 4 of our die sets. So the only thing left now is to go ahead and charge the priming system up here, and we just need to determine how we want to step up during our load development. So typically my method, when I'm loading 10mm, I like to be to the mid to the high range of the load data. I like a hotter round. Again, like you guys, I've said in the past, I hunt with a 10mm with a pistol, so I like to get the biggest bang that I can get, and maintain good velocities, get that kinetic energy that I'm looking for, and obviously getting the best accuracy that I can. So So that's what we're going to do next. In the next video, we'll get the primer bar set up. We'll get our load table established that we're going to do, and then we'll start working through each set of charges that were ready and complete the reloading process. And then we'll get into some chronograph testing and all that. And once we get a load that we are happy with, we're going to transfer everything that we've done here, all of our testing, we'll record our data, and then we'll move over to the XL750 where we're going to set up a brand new tool head from start to finish. And then we're going to mass produce some of these rounds from Accurate Outdoors, and we're going to see how they perform. So until next time, guys, don't forget to check me out over on Facebook and Instagram at Squatch Reloading. All these videos are on Utah Gun Exchange, Gunstreamer, and the Reloaders Network. So until next time, guys, God bless.